Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, class. How's life? I'm fine, thank you. Before we start the class, I will check the attendance list first. Good, nobody absent today. So, could you remember what material we learned in the previous meeting? Great, it was narrative text. Could you explain it? Okay, so the narrative text is a story with complicated event and tries to find the resolution to solve it. However, today we will move into another material. Let me share screen. Okay, from this text, could you guess what type is? Art photography, that's not right yet. Could you guess more? Great, here is the context. So how about the structure? Do you know it? Excellent. The structure is orientation, events, and reorientation. So the first paragraph is orientation, or it can be said that it is introduction of text, and then second paragraph until fourth paragraph is events or the detail of the story or text, and the last is reorientation or the conclusion of the story. So far so good. Okay, let's move into next slide. So it is about cohesive element. It can be said that it is a replacement of pronouns because repetition is not good. This form can be his, her, he, she, or another form like the team, the pair, something like that. Let's back to the text. Let's take example from paragraph 1. So cohesive element here refers to he and his to replace H. Okay. And next we will discuss about temporal sequence. It is aims to identify event in detail by finding the keyword first and explain the event with comprehensive explanation. Let's back to the text. So the tips is you have to understand first about the idea of the paragraphs to consider as a keyword, and then you can elaborate more the event of each paragraph. So the first paragraph is about H-man investigation and the explanation how the investigation did. So the first is he had been sent by his government, blah blah blah, something like that. Next, we will discuss about applying nouns with pre and post modifiers. So it is types of modifiers that are potential to be found in recount text. Let me explain it. So the first is adjective clause. This is a dependent and this is a dependent and such as what is that? Modifier noun, which was regarded not good. This is to modify the noun, could rise, and then past participle phrase. It is to describe the noun with past form short. Next, present participle phrase. As you can see, participle walking, to infinitive phrase, to investigate, so to plus the action. And then adjective phrase, milk rice, good enough for a patient. So good enough for the patient is the description of milk rice with rice and cannot be separated. It is different to adjective clause that can be dependent. And then prepositional phrase, as you can see, in is refers to prepositional phrase, and the last is number. The year, this is the number. Okay, I think this is the easiest way to identify the number is. So far so good. Okay, let's move into next slide. So this is a formula to write the account, but I think I have to explain first about identifying predicates in past form versus past participle phrase, because it is something confused for some people and overlapping. So what's the difference? Predicate, third, it is a verb, and then predicate was short as predicate. The differences is the nurse and the food. For the first is the nurse is subject, and the second is food object. So object plus passive voice, and object plus was short to be passive voice, and the nurse is subject cannot be in the form of passive voice. And then clause predicate was short. This is a modifier of the food as a noun, and then past participle phrase serve to describe the foods. Jadi makanannya disediakan di rumah sakit, bla bla bla. Gitu. And the second tabel is same as before. Predicate refers to verb conducted. So Eichmann conducted the experiment on frogs. And then clause predicate were conducted is modifier of the experiment. So the experiment were conducted on frogs. And past participle experiment conducted is described experiment. So the experiment occurs on the frogs. Something like that. So far so good. Okay. So I have to close this class, but I will give you some homework. So the first is make a recount text about your experience to discover or distinguish or to know something. The amount of paragraph is up to you. And you have to identify about the structure, and then cohesive element, temporal sequence. You have to understand first the idea of paragraphs to find keywords, and then you have to identify the applying nouns with pre and post modifiers. And the last is you have to identifying predicates in past form versus past participle phrase. So far so good. Okay, any question for this class? Okay, so what is the difference of narrative text and recount text? The first is for the structure is quite same, but the dominant feature that you can find is about the time sequence. In narrative text, the time sequence is not valid or not clear enough. It starts with once upon a time, something like that. So it can be said that narrative text is applied in folklore or fairy tales, but recount text is non-fiction event, something like that. Okay, I will close the class. Thanks for your appreciation by asking me and your attention. See you in the next class. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.